on Yishanim, Slichos on Mitzapim. So we're expressing Bitochen in Hakadosh Baruch Hu's mercy. But we begin the Slichos. We begin the Slichos with saying that L'cha Hashem Atzdokeh V'lanu Boishes Apon Ma Noimar Ma Nedaber Ma Nestadok Gedalim Ukaroshim Dafaknu Glosecha. So somebody who's loy bechesed v'loy b'maasim bonu lefanecha, so he deserves nothing. So he has no expectations. So how do we so fast move to a point where al rachamecha harabim anu betuchim v'al tzidkosecha anu nishonim? True that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a mishon u'miftach latzadikim, but we obviously don't consider ourselves tzadikim. So what does it mean? What are we counting? That is it would seem the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah v'Amar Reb Yitzchak Kol Shono Sherosha B'Tchilasa Misasheres B'Soifa Shenemar Mireishis Hashona Ad Achris Shona Soifa Sheyesh Lo Achris. That if the beginning of the year is Rosha, is poor, then the end is going to be rich. It's a Soifa Sheyesh Lo Achris. Rashi says, what Sherosha B'Tchilasa? Sheyisrael Oisin Atzmon Roshin B'Rosh Hashanah. If you even feel poor, they feel empty, they feel unworthy, they feel like nothing on Rosh Hashanah, then we have a haftaka of misasheres b'soifa. So it would seem that it's because loy v'chesed v'loy b'maasim bonu lefanecha, because we don't consider ourselves to be ra'ui for anything. Gedalim u'karoshim dafaknu glosecha. Therefore, al rachamecha harabim anu v'tukin, because that's what Rabbi Yitzchak is saying, that if Eden empty themselves out of any sense of self, any sense of achievement, accomplishment, we realize that we're really not, we're not worthy. That's what is ma'or, that's what makes us a recipient for the Rachmei Shomayim, But we say like this, we say, Ki al rachamecha harabim anu v'tukin, v'al tzidkosecha anu nishonim, v'lislichosecha anu mikavim, atu melech oyev tzedakos mikeda. It would seem like we're saying that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is oyev tzedakos. Yeah, he loves giving charity. And therefore, as long as we're kedalim u'karoshim dafaknu glosecha, so we can count on him to give us what we need. So even that is not so simple. I mean that we should actually not just say kedalim u'karoshim dafaknu glosecha, but we should actually feel that way, because I mean, by definition, a human being feels like he is a something and a somebody. We feel in control. We want to feel that way, even though it's not really something that makes that much sense, because even people that own a lot and have a lot, but they have to recognize that life and death is not in their own hands. I mean, they could just drop dead just like that. So we're really very much dependent on the Rebbeinu Shalom, but somehow the Yetzer Hara manages to make us not take that into account. And we do feel like something. We do feel like a somebody. It's not so easy to come to a point of kedalim u'keroshim dafaknu glosecha, that we should feel really empty, and we should. But if we do feel empty, we are worthy of being recipients of the Rebbeinu Shalom's rachamim. But we say that atahu oyev tzedakos mikeden. What does that mean? The expression comes from the stem of the pasuk in Tilim Lamed Gimel that says oyev tzedako mishpat chesed Hashem mola haaretz, which is the basis of the chasima of the Birchas Hashiva Shoftenu, melech oyev tzedako mishpat. But What does it mean? Oyev tzedakos mikeden. It's plain and simple that by the Rebbeinu Shalom there's no change. It's not like it could be that once upon a time he wasn't Oyev tzedakos and he later became a Oyev tzedakos. If he's Oyev tzedakos, he was always Oyev tzedakos. So what does it mean? Atahu Oyev tzedakos mikedem. It would sound like we're saying that he always was Oyev tzedakos. So it would seem that really Oyev tzedakos mikedem, it doesn't mean that mikedem he's Oyev tzedakos, but he's Oyev tzedakos mikedem. In other words, what the Rebbeinu Shalom likes is tzedakos that are mikedem. What does that mean? Because normally tzedakos are coming to fill a need that already exists. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu's tzedakos are tzedakos mikedem. In other words, he created the recipient in order to give him tzedakah. So he's oyev tzedakos mikedem. He's oyev the kind of tzedakah that's not answering a need, but he creates the needy in order to exercise kaviyachol the tzedakah, like the lashon of the Eitz Chaim. Kishe'olah b'ritzoynai haposhut livroi es ha'olam kedei lahetiv libruach. Rebbeinu Shalom created the world in order to give good to his creations. That's tzedakos mikedem. It's before the Makabel exists. Olam chesed yibana, the pasuk says in Tehillim. You know, the Rambam says in Moreh Nevuchim, v'roiv shimush sifrei hanavua b'milas chesed hu b'hatove l'mi she'ein lo yichoik olecha klal. It's giving good to somebody that you owe him nothing. U'mipnei zeh kol toiva she'tagiacho me'ito yisborech. Anything we receive from the Rebbeinu Shalom, Zikari Chesed, because he owes us nothing. U'ba'avur zeh, continues the Rambam, hametzius kula, in the entire creation. Ratzaloi mahamtzas HaKadosh Baruch Hu oisa. The fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created creation, Tikari Chesed. That's something that we define as Chesed. Creation is defined as Chesed. Omar, Oilam Chesed Yiboneh. In Yonoi, this means, Binyan ha'oilam hu Chesed. So, the entire Bria is really tzedakos mikedem. This pilus is said as a hagdama to the Yud Gimel Midas HaRachamim. We say, Ki al rachamecha harabim onu betuchim, v'al tzidkoisecha onu nishonim, v'al slichoisecha onu mikavim, atohu oyev tzedakos mikedem. Because Chazal tell us that bris kruso, Liyud Gimel Midas HaRachamim she'einam choizim reika. That calls man shebonecha choitim yasu lefonai keseda azev ani moicha b'hem. And that's why we say koireis bris lori shoiner u'mitayim shvul akroinim. And therefore we're muftach. Yeah, we have full betoken that he's mavir avoinois amoy u'meisir chatoim yireov chatois yireov. And that's why we're saying Ki al rachamecha harabim onu betuchim. But as you know, the Alshik in Parsha Shlach says V'shamati b'shem sefer livnes hasaper shedikdek ba'oisiyos ba'oimroi yasu lefonai. Why does it say yasu lefonai? Ki boseh tshuva el ktsas bilti ne'enim al yidei hasei. There's a people wonder. They say, they shout, they scream, and they don't seem to be answered, and they wonder why. It says Mefurish in the Gemara that HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised. See, he says, "Shehu shemashe nodar hu yizbarach she'eino choiz v'shreikom hu ba'asoiseinu anachnu hamidas ahem." It means when we practice those attributes of mercy. It's not just about reciting them and saying them. Ach ba'amire u'beli ma'aser lo yiyechem. So according to this, the koires bris l'rishonim u'mekayim shvur l'achronim is about practicing the Yud Gimel Midas HaRachamim. It's not about saying them. We say Ata hushi yoradeto al har Sinai v'her'eiso darkei tuvcho l'Moshe avdecho. For what purpose? It's not like the Rebbeinu Shalom wants to show off. Here Esa darkei tufcha l'moisha avdecha v'orchois chasodecha gili saloi. That's in order that we should be able to be mekayim the v'holachto b'dracha the mahu afato mahu rachum afato hayerachum mahu chanun afato hayechanun. We are expected to cleave to the darkei tufcha and to the orchois chasodecha. And that's what brings us to the point of Al Rachamecha Harabim Onu Betuchim, Val Tzidkoisecha Onu Nishonim. In the Reishis Chochmah, in the Shara Anova, he writes, V'lachein tzorech Adam li'domeis li'yotzroi, v'liyos oiver al midoisav. A person should learn how to be oiver al midoisav. V'shar hamidas haneskorois b'yud gimel midoisav. V'shomati mishem hagoinim, ki al kavona zu, Omru b'nesefes Rosh Hashanah, Omru Rabbi Yochanan, Kolzman, שישראל חייתם יעשו לפני כסיידה הזה ואני מויכל לבדו ושלושים שהרי אנו רואים כמה פעמים we see quite often אנו מזכירים יוד גימול מידס רחם ואינו מנהל אלו אומר מגויים כי כוונס יעשו לפני אין הכוונה על עטיפס טלס you can put on a talus, it's not going to make a difference אלו שיעשו סיידה מידס שלימד הקדוש ברוך הוא למוישה שהוא קל רחם וחנן דהיינו מהו רחם אף עתתי רחם So when we're saying, when we're reciting the Yud Gimel Midas Harachim, we're really doing this over and over in order to make ourselves aware of what is expected of us. That it's expected of us to emulate the Rebbeinu Shalom Kaviyachol and make ourselves into a Rachum, make ourselves into a Chana. And when we say Ki al Rachamecha Harabim Onu Betuchim, it's really only together with the commitment to work on our own midas, to become rachum, to become chanun. That's the key to al rachamecha harabim anu betuchim. So the tzidkoi secha that we talk about depends on our tzedakos. When we say about the Rebbeinu Shalom that he's oihev tzedakos mikedem, it's not just that he does tzedakos mikedem, but he likes when people do tzedakos mikedem. In other words, when we do tzedakos mikedem, when we seek out even people that their needs are not apparent to us, that's tzedakos mikedem, and that is what the Rebbeinu Shalom is oihev. He's oyev tzedakos mikedem. When we say oilam chesed yiboneh, it doesn't just mean that the world was created to express the Rebbeinu Shalom's midah of chesed, but it means that the world was created in order that we should be able to have where to exercise the midas chesed that we will exercise. That's the first of the Medrash, because the Medrash says in Parash Bereshis, Amar Reb Simon, B'shosha Boa Kodesh Baruch Hu Livrei Yasodam Arishon, Nasu Malachei Ashores Kitim Kitim B'chapuris Chapuris. Mehen oimrim al yibore, umehem oimrim yibore. Ado diksiv chesed ve'emes nifgoshu, tzedek v'sholom noshoku. Chesed said yibore. Chesed said that the world should be created, the man should be created. Shugem chasodim. Emes ama al yibore. Shukulei doi v'shkorim. Tzedek ama yibore. Shuoiset tzedokos. Sholom ama al yibore. Liktota maaseh kodesh baruch hu notal. Emes v'shlichoi loretz. Ado diksiv atashlich emes arzo. So the fact that man is a goyim al chasadim and is a oiset tzedakos, that's the reason that it was created. So that's also part of the meaning of oilam chesed yiboneh. Oilam was created for the midah of chesed that we practice, and that's the tzedek oma yibore shu oiset tzedakos, is that man does actually tzedakos mikedem. So when we reach the Rosh Hashanah, which is the Zayin Tchilas Masecha, the day of Nasa Adam, it's the day when we have to actually justify our creation, and the justification for our creation is Tzedek Omar Yibore, Chesed Omar Yibore. The two reasons for the creation of man is Chesed and Tzedakah. That's what the Medrash says, and that's why we were created, and therefore that's the tzedakos mikedem that we're oisik in these days. Like the Rambam says that during the Aseret Yemei Tshuva, the Rambam says Mashana Ma'asav. The Rambam mentions Mashana Ma'asav Kol Mitzvah and you marbe b'tzedakah, because the ribui b'tzedakah is shaykh to the ikr of this man. We also have the dogma of tzedakah is mikedem. The Gemara says in Shabbos daf kuf nun aleph, Amalei Reb Chiya l'dvisu. Reb Chiya said to his wife, Ki osi anye, agdimi leirifte, you should walk out and bring them, offer them bread. Yeheche deliktemu lebonayich. So in other words, even though in our tzedakah the recipients and the need exists before we can give the tzedakah, not like by the Rebbeinu Shalom tzedakah, which precedes the need. And nevertheless, we also have a kind of tzedakah mikedem by being makdim the nesina to the back kosher, Now, you know, the Avos Reb Nosson says, "V'yiyu aniyim b'nei beisecha." So what does it mean, "V'yiyu aniyim b'nei beisecha"? He says, you don't have to actually live by you full time. V'loi b'nei beisecha mamish. Elo sheyiyu aniyim misichin. They should always be talking about what they ate at your home. Ma she'oichlem v'shoysim v'toich beisecha. Gederech shehoyu aniyim misichin ma she'oichlem v'shoysim v'toich beisecha shel Iyov. U'kshenifgeshu zeh b'zeh, when aniyim that ate bebeisei shaliv would meet each other, echad oimel chaveroi ma'ayin atzabo. Where are you coming from? It's like bebeisei shaliv. L'an tahoylech bebeisei shaliv. Ukshabol of Puranas gedoyla. Amal of Nakadosh Baruch Hu Rebbeinu Shalom lo yisi makel reivim umashket tzmeim. I mean, everybody felt like he's a ben bayis by me, says Iyov. Shenema v'oichal piti levadi v'lo yoichal yosei mimena v'lo yisi mal b'sharumin, etc., etc. Afal b'ken Amal HaKadosh Baruch Hu Iyov adayin lo higato l'chatzi shir shel Avram. They didn't even get to half the shir of Avram Avinu's chesed. Why? Because Ato Yoishem v'shoyim v'teich beiskon v'orchim nichnosim eslacha es shedarko lechol paschitim. Somebody that was accustomed to eating paschitim, echalte paschitim, es shedarko lechol basar, echalte basar, es shedarko lishtes yayin, eshkisa yayin, aval Avram lo yosakei. Elo yoytze umahade ba'olam. Ukshiyim tzorchim, he looked for the orchim. Machnisim tzorch beisim. Didn't wait for them to come. As she'ein darkei lechol paschitim, somebody that used to eat something that was less than paschitim, he raised the level of his needs. As she'ein darkei lechol basar, haki leu basar. As she'ein darkei lishtes yayin, ishkeu yayin. So Iyov took care of pre-existing needs, and that's only a chotzi of the shir of the chesed of Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu broadened the kalim of the recipients and made them used to having more in order they should be able to give them more, and that's b'dugmas the chesed of olam chesed yibone, the Rebbeinu Shalom's chesed of tzedakah mikedem, and that's part of the v'alachta b'drachav mahu af ato. That's the yasul lefonai keseder hazeh. You know that the Reb Chaim Volozhiner brings. I mean, Reb Itzel of Volozhiner brings back Dama to the Nefesh HaChaim in the name of his father, that he was Hoyo Rogil Lohichiach Oisi. He used to give me Motsei. Al Shero She'ineni Mishtativ B'tzara Dachrina. He saw that I don't care enough for other people's tzara. I don't have enough empathy. V'koi Hoyo Dvoroi Elai Tomid. He always used to say this to me. Shezeh Kol Adam. That what Kol Adam is loyla atzmai nivra rak lahoya la'achrini b'chol ha'sheyimtza b'koich elasas. A person was created in order to help others in whatever way he can, and he says koi hoya dvoroi elai tomid. So this is Reb Chaim Volozhiner, who's known for his scholarship. I mean, for founding a yeshiva. I mean, it's all about learning. But his son says that the most important thing that he always used to mention was being mishtatev b'tzara da'achrini. He says that that's what man was created for. He wasn't created for his own steiging. He wasn't created for his own shleimus. He was created lahoya la'achrini kol she'im tzud b'koich elasas. The Goyen writes in his letter to his family, the Goyen writes, V'isha esra usa tesameach, hizeh mitzvah gedoyla l'chol adam, ubezeh roiv ha'torah, v'sameach lo'adam. So the Goyen writes that roiv ha'torah is making other people happy. Roiv ha'torah. We don't know, but we rely on the Goyen that he knew Roy Bater, coming from Kolater. So he was able to say that Roy HaTorah is the Samech Lodom. I mean, we don't really know how exactly that's right. But if he's saying it, we trust him. That Roy HaTorah is the Samech Lodom. So, I mean, if Reb Chaim Volozhin has said that Zeh Kol Ha'odom Lo La'atzmai Nidro Rak L'Hoy La'achrini Kechol HaShegim Tzuli Yodi Lasis, and the Goyen said that Roy HaTorah is the Samech Lodom. So obviously, it's a message that we should take home, especially during these Yemei HaRachamim B'Haslichos, which doesn't just mean that the Rebbeinu Shalom has Rachamim on us and He gives us Slichos, but it means that we have Rachamim on others and we're Saleach others, because that's really the our avodah. The Rebbeinu Shalom knows what to do, yeah, and He'll do whatever He wants. That's not in our Bechira. What's in our Bechira is if it'll be days of Rachamim and Slichos for us. If we'll be able to overcome our negative midas and we'll move beyond our small-mindedness, and we'll be able to feel for others and hear what others need, and exit our selfish self, and not be preoccupied with ourselves, because in order to be mamlech the Rebbeinu Shalom, I mean, it's very, very easy, because since it really requires nothing, it's just talk, so everybody's comfortable with that. But the Chazal say himlachta es chavercha is himlachta es koincha, because the challenge is really being able to. If you not be able to be machniah to somebody else, so when you're talking about achnot to the Rebbeinu Shalom, it's just some talk. The himlachta es chavercha is the key to himlachta es koincha, which means that you're not preoccupied with yourself, and you're not. It's not life. You realize that life is not all about yourself, but you're here really to serve. You're here really to give, and you know that ha'olam hazeh doima le'proiz dor, ha'olam haba doima le'traklin, and this journey is a journey where we're oisik in giving, not in taking, not in satisfying ourselves, but in making l'sameach la'odam, like the Goyen says. We should be zeichen to connect to these holy days, which is a time of opportunity. But an opportunity creates an obligation, like the Rabbeinu Yoda says. The machteres is chatura. I mean, you have a way out. It's a time of opportunity. There's a siyata d'shmaya, there's a special siyata d'shmaya, there's the kedushas asma, and we should connect with it and make the most out of it. Yeah.